Hey guys, today we're here to talk to you about inspiration. And Cody and I just wanted to make this video to discuss what inspires us in our creative endeavors, both here on the channel with Sonoquin Media as well as apart. And also just to discuss what is inspiration. It's a topic that gets thrown around a lot as far as the term goes, but not a lot of people really kind of dive into this topic and really discuss it. So today we just wanted to share our thoughts with you guys about what is inspiration and how we get inspired.
So I'm inspired by a few different types of media, from film to television to music videos especially. And so where this inspiration comes from is just seeing it when it's done very, very well. As I was getting my degree in college, I would start to pick off on certain things and my inspiration would evolve because of it. I would start to notice on what kind of shots that the video was using, also what kind of transitions the video was using. I would also start to think if maybe one transition was better than the other. And a big thing that I also really started to notice was a thing called continuity. And so as I start to pick off these things, my inspiration grew even more. I was like, this is really, really cool. This is something that I'm really interested in. I want to make a good looking product, as these videos have done as well.
Now it's time to answer the big question, right? What is inspiration? Well, inspiration has a lot of different meanings depending on who you talk to, but for me, inspiration is not the muse that kind of comes down and sits on your shoulder and guides you through a creative endeavor or a non-creative endeavor and gives you this brilliant idea, right? The light bulb moment that kind of goes off above your head type of thing. No, for me, inspiration is the result of work and is the result of effort. So I'm a firm believer that if you put effort into something, the ideas will come along and that you will start to slowly get inspired with what you're working on. So you take an idea, no matter how small, right? And we'll talk in a little bit about where we get those initial ideas from, but we take an idea, no matter how small, and then we start to work on it. We build on it. And one idea leads to another idea, which leads to another idea. And it kind of forms this chain of things that just keep on happening. And then by the end of it, hopefully you end up with something great.
My inspiration actually started in high school. I was either sophomore or junior, and I was in a creative writing class with a few buddies of mine. And they were also in a class called Pat's TV, which was like the school little news thing. And so they started bringing me onto it and asking if I would like to film some and maybe edit. And I was like, sure, why not? Let's try it out. And so as I started to really dive into it, I was really, really enjoying it. And so I started to find out that I really enjoyed filming and then sitting down and editing. Like I was okay sitting at a computer for an hour or two and editing a video. And I just had the patience for that and the want for that. And it kind of lit a fire within me.
One of the things that I keep with me at all times, and I've talked about it a little bit before, at least I know on my blog I have, but it's a very small notebook. And inside of that notebook, I write down different ideas that I have. Things that inspire me just in daily life, right? So rather that's a scene in nature, something I hear on the radio. One time I remember it was a sign on a church billboard that struck me really interestingly, and I wrote it down in my notebook, and hopefully that'll turn into something. And so these different things that inspire you, it's worth keeping track of them. Because that way, whenever it comes time to start a new project, you have a bank of inspiration, right? You're not sitting around tapping your head going, oh, if only I was inspired to do whatever it is today, right? No, you are inspired. You have a wealth of things that have inspired you. Take advantage of that and use it, right? And so that's something that I personally do a lot. And I really think it helps whenever it comes time to start a new project or even continuing other projects and trying to keep that state of constantly being inspired.
The main thing that inspires me to do what I do is just to share my love for media. It's not really to make money. Now that would be awesome. And of course I would love to do that, as a full-time job. It'd be awesome. But at the end of the day, I just love creating great content that other people can enjoy. And for the longest time, I kind of just stopped creating. And thankfully, Sana was like, let's get this project going. I was like, yeah, I want to start diving back into film, which was awesome. But like I said, it's not, our inspiration is not to just to make a bunch of money. Like I said, that'd be great, but it's just to share great content with all of you.
So, what do you do when you're not inspired? Let's say you haven't been keeping a notebook or something, you don't have any type of bank of inspiration for you to be able to turn to. What do you do if you're not inspired and you're working on a project? Well, there's really two different scenarios with this. So the first is that you're trying to start a new project and you're not inspired. And unfortunately, in my experience, the best advice I have for you is to get to work on something. Take an idea, any idea, even if it's not the best idea, and start to run with it. See what it turns into. Maybe that turns into something that inspires you a little bit more, gives you a little bit more hope for the project. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe while you're working on that, you get another brilliant idea and you put that to the side and you start working on that one. Now, the second is when I most oftentimes find myself really struggling with this idea of inspiration. And that is when I'm working on something and the inspiration leaves me. So as I work on a project, sometimes these projects, most projects don't happen in a day or an hour or a couple minutes. They happen over weeks. They happen over months. They take time. The current piece I'm working on that I'm composing, I've been working on for close to a year now. And so how do you stay inspired throughout that whole time? Well, the short answer is, in a lot of ways, you don't. So what do you do when you find yourself uninspired in those situations? And the answer is largely the same, in my opinion. You just keep working. You just keep pushing forward. Let whatever the project is remind you why you started working on it in the first place, right? So in my world, let the music remind me of why I started writing it in the first place. Let's take it to a completely non-arts related field, right? Let's say you're an accountant for a big firm and you're working on reorganizing the books in a way that'll make them easier to research. And you get halfway through the project and you just lose the inspiration for why you're trying to do it. You lose that why factor. Well, that's whenever it's a good time to go back and remind yourself of the old system, the way you currently do things, why that doesn't work. Become re-inspired to continue pursuing your project. And that, for me, is really what inspiration is all about.
I challenge you. Find stuff that inspires you. I know it can be very, very challenging at times, but if you can find why you're doing something, it makes it a lot more fun. In college, I had to do that sometimes. I was just doing this little project, and I had to be like, why am I doing this? What should be inspiring me to do this? And I would have to sit back and think, you know what? It's inspiring me to be a better filmographer. It's inspiring me to be a better editor. And so I would just have to sit back and be like, you know what? Even though it's just sometimes busy work, it feels like this will help me in the long run. And so I just ask you, take that inspiration, whether you're in school or whether you're doing it professionally, whether you're just doing it for a hobby. Think about that inspiration, where it comes from. Why are you doing a certain project? What is your goals for this project? And just what are you trying to get across to the audience? And so I just really think about that kind of stuff before you make a video. Me and Sara, we always try to sit back and say, hey, what do we want to accomplish for this video? Why are we making this video? Because if you don't even know, you really think the audience is going to know why you're making this video, why it should be interesting to them. So just sit back, do that. I know sometimes you can have a really bad block, but just keep pushing through. We have blocks all the time. I promise you. I know, sometimes it may seem like we don't, but we do. And so, just challenge you to do that. Never quit working. Never quit chasing your dreams. Stay inspired.